Welcome to Friday Night Firelight presented by Mortal Up. I'm Brian Brawdy, your host, broadcasting with Telestream's Wirecast and sponsored by Nutrient Survival at nutrientsurvival.com and of course Firebugs at Firebugs, that's BUGGZ.com. Good evening once again, and welcome to an all-new Friday Night Firelight. Sorry about the little delay. I don't know if you can see it, but we have an umbrella, right? We're ready for whatever Mother Nature could throw at us, as I said throughout today. Right? Let's do a Friday Night Firelight. Let's do it outside. Thanks to the firebugs and the fire pits. I wouldn't be able to keep warm if it weren't for those guys. I got to tell you that. It's just the weather has been one challenge after another, but we're very glad to be with you here. As you can hear the planes flying over. That's because the cloud cover is so low. All the rain and everything else is packed in close to the ground, so I apologize for that. All right, let me thank very quickly our sponsors, as we mentioned in the beginning, Nutrient Survival. You know, I think about it, I've been thinking about it a lot lately. I say, you know, never settle, never surrender, Nutrient Survival. And then I started thinking about nutritional sustenance. If you're going to put food up, whether it's for an emergency or it's for every day, if you're going to stockpile a bunch of food, I guess you could just do ramen, noodles, add hot water, and your family will get over the taste of the MSG. And really, has science really proven the long-term effects of MSG? I don't know. But for me, I'm not going to mess with it. I'm going to go with Nutrient Survival, so I know I'm going to be all set. And then, of course, Firebugs, the amount of camaraderie we get with the family, which is extremely important now. The amount of camaraderie we have around the Firebugs, fire pits, and using all the different things that Bob, not just the CEO of Firebugs, but the designer, the fabricator, he's the brains behind everything that you see from Firebugs. Just the camaraderie and the sense of bonding that the family has around the fire. It really is something else. And I'm hoping if we ever can get some of the audio issues, some of the other things that we're working on, I'm hoping that we'll be able to set it up to such a degree that when you look at the flames, there'll be that same kind of bonding. All right, so now that my thank yous are out of the way, I wanted to talk to you about the power of instinct. And what I've found throughout this is that I think you and I, from time to time, we put a lot of energy, or let me just say other folks do. Maybe not you and me, but other folks. They put a lot of energy into their intellect, and their intuition or their instinct just gets left in the back seat, right? They're just be quiet. Don't make me turn this car around. Don't make me pull over, right? It's stuck in the back seat, and it atrophies like any other muscle. So I joked tonight earlier on social media that, right, I'm a Gemini. You remember Castor and Pollux? You remember, I'm a twin, right? So I'm an intellect and I'm an instinct. So that tonight we thought, why don't we channel the power of instinct? And what better way to do that than to let my alter ego do the show? So we'll be talking about that throughout the evening, talking about what it is specifically that you can do so that it's not so much listening to the voices in your head, it's feeling the tug, feeling the pull, maybe feeling the poke in your gut. And I think what happens is most people want to say, well, here's what I think, right? As I say on the social media and the taglines, you're out of your mind. That's our plan. Because I believe that humanity evolved. Now, whether you believe we were evicted from the Garden of Eden or walked off the savannas of Africa, doesn't matter. Same thing. When it came time to leave everything we knew, I think we relied on our intuition. I think we relied on our instinct. I think we relied on our gut. We didn't have much intellect. Wasn't a lot of thinking going on. But there were gut feelings about what was unfolding in the moment at hand. And that's why when we talk about the power of instinct, when we talk about how important it is to listen, to feel, And as you know, as I had mentioned, I think maybe even last week about it, and I should say that a part of tonight's show, tonight will be part one of two parts. We'll be doing, next week, Cinco de Mayo, we'll be finishing up on the concept of the power of instinct and why I believe that's absolutely so important for you and your family when it comes to thinking on your feet. As my wife likes to say, you will certainly fly by the seat of your pants. That seems to work well for you. So, what is it exactly? What are we talking about? And I was speaking to my good friend Dave yesterday, and you remember the line, "Thy will be done," from the prayer, where yea, thou walk the valley shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy will be done. Thou shalt not want. I'm beginning to believe that that still small voice. Now, whether you want to take a religious, as I mentioned before, a religious tact towards it, or you want to take a more scientific tact, you can look at these fMRI machines and they hook up and they go, thoughts, actions, propulsion comes a full 7 seconds before we're conscious of it. So my question would be, whether it's the still small voice of God or whether you believe that you're a collapse of the wave function, you're a satellite office of all the universal energy itself, what is it that comes to you a full 7 seconds before you go, oh, the light bulb went off? No, if you look at these machines and all the studies that have been done by these neuroscientists hooking us up to these fMRIs, it comes a full 7 seconds before you and I are cognizant of it. So what if, maybe they haven't found it now, but what if in the very near future they're going to find, well, that's kind of your gut talking to you. What if there isn't a way? What if they sense on these machines the 7 seconds prior? What if it is your intuition? What if it is your instinct? What if it is your gut? And we're so busy building our intellect day in and day out. Here's what I think, here's what I think, here's what I think. We're busy thinking, that our intuition never gets to strut its stuff. We don't feel like we mean it. And I think when you look at all the battles going on today, perhaps people think too much. They think that's the way they feel. And people go, well, that's what I think. Well, suppose just for a second, I'm just wondering, could it have been that you've been thinking about it for so long that you're enamored with this concept of thought, but maybe it's a little more feeling? It's supposed to be a little more feeling than it is thought? We'll go ahead and top that off. Maybe that's what it is. So the benefit of believing the 20-minute victories that we've talked about, 1/72nd of your day, what would you do if for 1/72nd of your day you decided to let your instinct vote? Let your gut vote. You know, that little twinge that you get. What could you do if you let that part of you out? And it's easy for me as a Gemini, right? We talk about the twins. We talk about split personalities. What if your alpha, you and I talk about alpha, what if your alter ego, what if it's nested in your intuition, in your gut, in your instinct? And that if you were to let that out, you'd end up running the table in life. Maybe some of the trouble that we're in is because we think too much. Now I know, right? Cue all the critics. They're all going to say, of course we think too much. We're human beings. We're given brains. Yeah, here's the thing about that. The aphantasia that I've talked about, where I'm losing the ability to make pictures in my mind, where I'm losing the ability to hear things in my mind, it seems as those things fall, what increases tremendously is my ability to feel. We call it neurosavvy, or here, for the logo, we call it the power of instinct. What is absolutely seeming to grow in me is this sense of letting my feet do the walking. Now, you know, we have our nervous system, we have the things that we're conscious of, but your heart continues to beat without you thinking about it. Your lungs continue to work throughout the night without you thinking about it. There's all kinds of things that your body does without you thinking about it. What if we're supposed to get through different portions of life without thinking about it? And if my alter ego were to be here, he would say to you, enough thinking. Unless you're a follower of C.G. Jung, then you would say my alter ego is a she, and she would say to you, stop thinking so much, just do. Or maybe I could quote Yoda from Star Wars, do or do not, there is no try. Always with you what cannot be done. So maybe we just do. Body seems to get through the night okay. Seems when we're absent-minded, when we're busy being distracted, all these other things going on, body seems to get through it just fine. I can tell you one of the things that fascinates me the most about all my trouble with the brain surgeries and all the like are the bouts of amnesia. Because clearly, intellectually, I'm not certain. I know, right? Like, I don't know who I am. I don't know what's transpired in the near term. But I've taken showers. I've thankfully I haven't gotten behind the wheel of a car, but I've been driven places. I've eaten. I don't know if I've dialed a phone, but I did the nomenclature, right? I was able to get through. I was able to survive. Well, what if it was my gut saying, we're going to get you through this? Even though your intellect is checked out in this amnesia, what if it was my instinct that would say, let us figure out where to go left, right, up, down, pivot, and swerve. And maybe in the labyrinth of life itself, thy will be done. Maybe you and I think too much. We act too much. I've talked before about the difference between beings being in this particular moment, magnifying the moment, this particular moment in all of time, or human gettings. Constantly thinking, constantly distracted about, we'll finally be happy if we only get A, B, C, or D. E, F, G, all of it. More. Where it's sets of lips groping around for a nipple. But what if the power of instinct is designed? And that's why I love this graphic. I need to thank Michael Morrow, the photographer, world-class photographer, Michael Morrow, for the picture. What if, like the full moon, it's not there all the time, but it certainly affects the tides. It's certainly, you've seen all the studies of late that say during a full moon. I remember my mom saying to me when I was just little, early 70s, my mom would say to me, she was the chief of the mood disorders clinic at a particular hospital in a particular city, a psychiatric nurse. And she would say, oh, during the full moons, some of the patients have a really tough time. And then all these years later, I'm reading one of these articles that said, well, the full moon, it makes people a little skittish, right? Let's say. Well, what if, just unlike your gut, it affects what's happened, what happens? How do you know? If it really is a full 7 seconds before you're conscious of anything, how do you know the full moon? How do you know your intuition, your instinct isn't planning your response in 7 seconds? I could be totally wrong. I'm not, but I could be. So what I'm simply suggesting is for 20 minutes, let your gut have a vote. What have you always wanted to do that your mind has talked you out of? If you look at the physiology of the human body, they say, oh, the mind. Well, we know now, in any kind of studies about the topic, we know now that the mind is really just a continuation not only of the spine, but all the nerves coming in from all over your body, the brain-gut connection, the brain-blood barrier. We're all one package. We're all one thing. So to say, well, this is what my mind, well, what, the mind in your big toe, the mind in the small of your back, the mind in your bicep, it's all those neurons. It's all those nerve endings that come flooding in. So we're not just our minds. And what if our intellect has got us in trouble? And I will tell you what, you look at the news today, you look at the backlash that's going on, there's a whole lot of people are thinking, it's just plain crazy, some of these thoughts. And I think in order for you and I to have any kind of attempt at a decent future for our kids, it might just be that we need to do a little more feeling and a little less thinking. Now I know you're thinking, oh no, Bri, you're not going to tell us to get in touch with our... You're not going to tell us to get in touch with your feelings. No, not those kind of feelings, right? I'm just saying your instinct, your intuition. Right? Was I say all the time, mortal up? I think, did I wear that hat tonight? Yeah, I did. Mortal up. Because as a human being, not a human getting, not constantly distracted, running from here to there, but as a human being, what if you're designed to feel more than you think? And what if some of the crazies running around today, some of these just imbecilic thoughts were like, well, here's what I feel. I don't think they know what a feeling possibly could be. Never sat alone. I was reading this article today about some shrink somewhere going, well, it's really tough for people to be alone. No, it isn't. Your mind's convinced you that it's tough to be alone. There's a difference between alone and loneliness, but it's a creation of your mind. Well, here's what I feel. No one cares what you feel. Because maybe these people making some of the craziest of suggestions have spent so much time in their heads. They're so disconnected from their hearts, so disconnected from their spines, that they can't even think straight. And then they attack the rest of us who are able to somewhat think straight, straighter than them. And they attack all of us because, oh, that can't be good. So when you think of the power of instinct, what would you do? If you knew you couldn't fail, is the quote that I love, the question that I love to ask. What would you do if you had to feel your way through? If you had to turn off all the power outage, you lose all the lights. Could you feel a way to get around your house? Now you may stub your toe a bit here or there, but could you feel the way? Well, what if that's the way you and I are designed? What if human beings are set up in such a way that they absolutely should be a little more feeling and a little less thinking? That I think is the key to people thriving and being successful in life, is staring at the mirror long, right? Because you can walk up in front of the mirror and you expect something from it. It's again, and you go, oh, how do I look? I'm talking about staring in the mirror and waiting for the mirror to stare back at you. So you have a deep sense, a deep feeling of the moment that you're involved in this particular moment in all of time. Don't let the politicians, don't let the big business, big pharma, big food, big sports, big this, big that. All the distractions are pulling you away from your core, pulling you away from who you are. And maybe that's a part of all the depression, all the sadness, all the anxiety. I think people are sad and depressed and anxious because they have no clue what it's like to be themselves, to actually feel what it's like to be a human being and not a human getting. My heart went out to this young, I don't know if it's a guy or a girl. I don't know what they, I don't know, but in any event, this young person was on Twitter today, all crying because someone had dead named them. Now, I don't know if this person was a guy that thought he was a girl or a girl that thought he was a guy. I don't know, but they felt dead named. And the whole video was about, well, the principal dead named me in front of the entire class. And this poor thing was just mortified. Mortified by what? By someone else's words. Thinking that other people didn't respect the feeling that they had about themselves, the thoughts that they had about themselves. How precarious is a human mind perched, a sense of self right on the edge, that whether I want to be called, I don't know what I want to be called. I want to be called, I don't know, king, right? Mr. President. Who knows what you want to be called anymore in this day and age? But that doesn't mean we can force other people. I saw this person from the Bud Light controversies now saying it should be illegal to call him a him. Should be a knock on the door now. The police will be coming for me any minute, right? It should be illegal. So let me get this straight. You and I are supposed to lie knowing that he's a him, she's a she. We're supposed to lie, and if we don't lie, we're guilty of a crime against humanity. It's your sense of self that is on the ropes. Why should I contribute to the delinquency? Why should I contribute to the pain that you're already in? Makes no sense to me. All right, that's enough about my rant. So let's get back to it. For you, right now, until we see you next week for round 2, here's what we're talking about next week. We're going to talk about, everyone says know thyself. Well, the oracle at Delphi, right? Apollo and the priestess. Well, what did they do? Well, they sat along in front of a fire. They sat in a crack of the earth, probably hit the bottle a little bit. Maybe there was some, that day's version of cocaine or heroin or whatever, some psychedelic drug that they took, and the ether came up from the bowels of the earth, and told them this is what's supposed to happen. That's your gut instinct. So we're going to look at the most Pythia. Pythia was the name of the head goddess, and then the head oracle at Delphi. And she would, the title Pythia would be passed on as she passed on to more and more people. More and more young women would come, and they would become the next version of it. But as everyone would go to them and go, what do you see? What do you see? Sometimes they wore masks over their eyes. They didn't see anything. They felt it. They felt it. So what if know thyself? What if the Oracle of Delphi? What if, oh, well, this is in praise of the god Apollo at the time, right? What if the Oracle of Delphi and the need to know yourself, what if they've been trying to tell us that you should listen to your gut all along? Nutrient survival, thank you very much. What if that's our family tree telling us, oh, look at the flames. What are they saying to you? What are you feeling? What are you getting from beneath, right? What are you getting from the bowels of the earth? What are you getting from the full moon? What are you getting as a message that you can't see, you can't hear, but you feel it? And we're going to go in a little bit more to the myth next week, and we're most certainly going to go into more into the concept of know thyself. And I believe that in order to get our sanity back collectively, I think you and I are as sane as we can be. I think in order for some of the other people around us to get their sanity back, they need to work at knowing themselves. And I think the future, and I'll leave you with this thought, another great conversation that I had yesterday. A lot of the things that are coming, and I believe you look at what happened to Tucker Carlson, you look at what happened, it just, all of the things going on. I think you and I are being misled. And the quickest way to forge ourselves, the quickest way to prepare ourselves for no matter what the future throws at us, is to know thyself, is to know who we are, and to have a gut instinct that you and I can fall back on. In times of trouble, where they're trying to hijack your head, you want your head to be hijack-proof? Listen to your gut. Know who you are at your core. Know your natural resources and how you can rally them in the moment. And for goodness sakes, muddle up, because I think it's a great gift. Again, be it from God or from the universe itself, you and I are here. We're given a shot. Now, there's other people that say, oh, it's redemption. I don't know about redemption. What I do know is I have a debt to repay. And that debt is the fact that I was put here in the first place. What are the odds? Trillions and trillions and trillions to one that any one person is here in this particular moment and all of time, just given the history of your family tree? You and I shouldn't be here. But that we are, I feel, my thought, I have a debt to repay for given a shot at life itself. I'm not going to bitch. I'm not going to moan. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to find everything that's wrong with life. Sure, is everything smooth sailing? No, but I don't think it's supposed to be. If it was smooth sailing, your biceps and your triceps wouldn't fight. Your abductors and your adductors wouldn't fight. Your lungs, inhale and exhale wouldn't fight. It's all a battle. Out brutal the brutal. Mortal up, it's all a battle. And I think the people that embrace that battle, that are thankful for that battle, that have a say, and I want to get out of here because I promised I'd try to keep it to 20 minutes. But let me just say this. All these people say, oh, make a list of all the things you're grateful for. I can't get past number. If I had a list of 10 things that I'm grateful for, I can't get past number 1, or 1 through 10 on the list would be that I'm here to make a list in the first place. And that sense of gratitude permeates everything I do. And if that's flying by the seat of your pants, well, so be it, right? But I think we're in for a tough time. It's going to call on strong men and strong women to write the course that we're on, to write the path that we're on. And I think that strength, you look at the word truth. What is the word truth? When you go back to the ancient Latin of it, the word truth also means veracity. It means to be faithful. But faithful to what? Faithful to the fact of who you are at your core. Not what the intellect has convinced you, but who you feel you are at your core. That's the etymology of the word truth. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Again, the end of part 1. Sorry I ran a little long. Next week, Cinco de Mayo, we'll be coming back. Here's the new, I know you can't see it, but there's an umbrella over me. And as I joked, Irish luck, don't believe the hype. The rain just stopped right after we hit a part of this. So my apologies again. But we've got an umbrella now, so we're ready no matter what Mother Nature throws at us. We're ready to go. Unless, again, the winds kick up and blow over the lights. We'll just do it here in straight Firelight. That's how it'll be. All right. Have a fantastic week. Thank you so much. Oh, I should also mention, good golly, I almost forgot. We're going to be broadcasting live. Friday Night Firelights will stay right here at YouTube. But as we get ready to do the Brawdy intervention, which I got to tell you has been a lot of fun. You talk about, now that's a show where I'm going to channel my shadow. That's a show where my alter ego is going to take the open mic. All right, Bri, just give me the mic, right? Like Alexander Haig at the day when President Reagan was shot. I'm in control until the vice president's plane lands. Right, the alter ego's ready to go. So here's the deal. What we're going to be doing is broadcasting live to Rumble and broadcasting live to Twitter. So if you're seeing this message, Friday Night Firelight will stay here on YouTube. And then the Brian Brawdy intervention will be broadcast on YouTube, on Twitter and Rumble. And they're both free. So when I say, hey, check us out on Rumble and Twitter, it's free. You can just come in, follow us. I think the term is follow or subscribe, whatever it is. We'll get all the updates. And I'm planning it about 30 days from now. We'll have ironed out the last of the kinks in terms of some of the broadcast stuff. But we look to Rumble and Twitter simply because the intervention is going to be our attempt at ripping the Band-Aid off. We're going to end the Meshuggah, right? It's really like any intervention. Who likes being the target of an intervention? Nobody. But we got some nutty ideas running around our country, running around our planet. And the intervention is going to be our way, not of attacking the people, but the poison that they're addicted to, the lotus that they're addicted to, right? Like Odysseus, the land of the lotus eaters. We're going to go after some people on the Brian Brawdy intervention. And I think, in discussing it with the team, we're just going, why wait to be canceled? Is it deplatformed, shadow banned? Why wait? That's got to be something else to actually shadow ban your shadow. But in any event, right, why wait to get canceled? Why not just go from the get-go right to Twitter and to Rumble? And I would love your opinion. To be honest with you, since they both kind of allow broadcasting video, if you had a vote, where would you, I was just going to say, if you had a vote, where would you tell me to go? No, not you, right? Not that place. Although there is a fire already. Not that place. If you were to tell me where to go, what would you say? Do you like Twitter or do you like Rumble? And then maybe we'll make our decision there. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. The end of part 1 of The Power of Instinct. Sorry for the trouble in the very beginning. We had another bit of audio difficulty in the weather. Sorry about that. We will be back next week, Cinco de Mayo, for part 2 of The Power of Instinct. Thank you so very much for joining us this week. Enjoy your family. Enjoy being immortal. Because here's the thing, you don't have to be put here in the first place. So mortal up and have an absolutely fantastic weekend and a fantastic week until we see you next Friday night for Friday Night Firelights. Have a fantastic week, everybody.